hear me or something, just tell me, or come closer. Yeah, I have like a thing, like a kind of piece thing that I want to share, but it needs a little bit of an introduction, so I'll do that. But first of all, I also just want to say thank you to Kabelo, to Julia, and like everybody here has been amazing. It's been great to sort of meet people today. It feels like a really warm, like, ecology here. And also thank you also to Anna, who I've not met, who wrote on the wall there, and also in the bathrooms. That was part of my thing, the sound that you hear out there. Okay, so like this is my little intro thing. So often when I tell people that I do things with music, it's as though I've said I was a magician. There's a performance of self-deprecation that's supposedly arcane knowledge. What bothers me about this is that what's happening is a conflation of a learned cultural aphasia about music with a lack of knowledge. It's not that we don't know, it's just that we haven't been given the language. When my mother identifies the faintest trace of a Tori Amos song from blocks away, or when my husband identifies a Joni Mitchell song from a single intake of breath, immensely complex cognitive mechanisms are being activated. We all know the music and sounds that we love deeply, and that knowing, that knowledge, is a virtuosity, verbalizable or not. This maybe informal colloquial knowledge space is what I anecdotally described as an undercommons of listening when I was meeting with Kabelo and Julia a few weeks ago. But as politically exciting as a celebration of those kinds of unnamed sensibilities, as Marianne Amiche might put it, is, after our conversation, I started to think more and more about all the other nonverbal virtuosities of recognition that we carry with us. Recognition, for example, of gender or of race, which is also to say, the space of recognition, obviously, if you think of like the 90s conversations about the politics of recognition, is a fraught space, a problem space, also of non-consensual pedagogy, a space of nonverbal social reproduction, a space in which we've been taught to expertly recognize the world in all of its violent distinctions. So recognition as both a site of capacity in which we can be more than ourselves, but also recognition as a site of internalized normativity became the main thing that I was thinking about when I was making this sound thing out there. The sound piece is made up of tiny little slivers of songs and sounds that were sent to me by visitors to the Kunsthalle, maybe some people in the room, I don't know, friends, Instagram followers. There's the invite on the walls. We also posted stuff online. I received 30 of these. People sent me 30 things by email, by text, or direct message. I placed the sounds that you hear out there in time exactly at the minute when I received them. So it's a 1 hour cycle, and always at like, if it came at minute 32, it's at minute 32. And they're arranged now in a kind of like solid state, where you basically have all of them at any given moment. And the sounds have been like coming in over the last 2 weeks, and the sounds gotten denser and denser, and I think kind of maybe filled the space out here more and more. Yeah. I took out of each song that was sent to me only like 150 to 250 milliseconds, so like maximum 1/4 of a second. Usually from the most recognizable moment of the song, when the voice comes in, or something like that. I took this much as I've been trying to read more and more technically about the mechanics and the speed of recognition. And this reading is also where my sort of funny title comes from, Mismatch Negativity Accretion. This 1/5 of a second duration is something that keeps coming up in various scientific papers. For instance, it's the duration of so-called echoic memory, the unit of sound memory that we hold on to as sounds shift and pass by at high speeds. Getting into the technical register of recognition's infrastructures has been increasingly important. How to dispel, for instance, the supposed immediacy of recognizing. How to instrumentalize mismatch negativity. How to collectivize recognition masking into becoming unrecognizable. This is supposedly meant to be a sonic lecture, and I'm not exactly sure what that is. So what I decided to try to do is to listen and speak through or with this sound piece, with the really specific, strange shape that it has taken, to use the sound piece and its form in like a really precise way as a kind of algorithm for thinking. So basically, I took a series of texts that I'm thinking about, and there are texts about recognition in various senses, technical, political, sound, politics, and I cut them together according to the shape of this that we're hearing. The texts that I'm putting together, this is just a little works cited, are the Wikipedia entries for Mismatch Negativity and Echoic Memory, CLR James, Grace Lee Boggs, and Cornelius Castoriadis' 1958 book, Facing Reality, 2 texts by Mary Namche, one from 1975, one from the early 80s, a text by Diamanda Gallos from the early 80s called Intravenal Song, a scientific paper by Dominic Massaro from the 70s called Pre-Perceptual Images, Processing Time and Perceptual Units in Auditory Perception, the first lines of the songs that people shared with me, and finally, which is a weird thing, a paper from the 90s by Anthony Greenwald and Mahzarin Banaji called Implicit Social Cognition, Attitudes, Self-Esteem, and Stereotypes, which is now really often cited as one of the starting points of like current conversations, like very managerial, like business conversations about quote-unquote unconscious bias. Okay, so that's my long introduction. But before I start reading, which I will read from actual paper, there's like a little like participatory thing that I would love to ask everyone to do, which is extremely simple, which is I would just like it if everyone would start playing this sound on their phones. On the website, if you just go to the Kunsthalle website, and you go to the page for the show, Every Instance at Once. I'm going there myself. You'll find there's like a player on it. And if you could just like turn this on and just keep it playing at like full volume while I'm talking. If you need Wi-Fi, there's a thing there. I don't know. If you need Wi-Fi, there's a card. Yeah. And my talk is should be like a little bit less than half an hour. It's on the it's happening. Every Instance at Once website page. If you just scroll down under some lectures instead. Okay, anyway, so that's basically good enough. But, I'll wait. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm going to read this. It'll take, I hope, less than half an hour. It's a bit dense, so bear with me, and I hope it will be enjoyable. And this is this text. Mismatch negativity is a component of the event-related potential to an odd stimulus in the sequence of stimuli. It arises from electrical activity in the brain and occurs after an infrequent change in a repetitive sequence, sometimes called an oddball sequence. For example, a rare deviant D stimulus can be interspersed among frequent shared S stimulus. For example, S, 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 D, S, 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 D, S, 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 D, S, S, S. In hearing, a deviant sound can differ from the standards in one or more perceptual features such as pitch, duration, loudness, or location. The mismatch negativity can be elicited regardless of whether someone is paying attention to the sequence. During auditory sequences, a person can be reading or watching a silent subtitled movie and yet still show a clear mismatch negativity. Processing of sensory stimulus features is essential for humans in determining their responses and actions. If behaviorally relevant aspects of the environment are not correctly represented in the brain, then the organism's behavior cannot be appropriate. Without these representations, our ability to understand language, for example, would be seriously impaired. A more objective, independent task capable of measuring auditory sensory memory that does not require focused attention are mismatch negativity tasks, which record changes and activation of the brain by the use of electroencephalography. This records elements of auditory event-related potentials of brain activity elicited 150 to 200 milliseconds after a stimulus. This stimulus is an unattended, infrequent, oddball, or deviant stimulus presented among a sequence of standard stimuli, thereby comparing the deviant stimulus to a memory trace. Mismatch negativity is a component of the event-related potential to an odd stimulus in the sequence of stimuli. It arises from electrical activity in the brain and occurs after an infrequent change in a repetitive sequence, sometimes called an oddball sequence. For example, a rare deviant D stimulus can be interspersed among a series of frequent standard S stimuli. For instance, S, 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 D, S, 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 D, S, S, D, S, 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 S. In hearing, a deviant sound can differ from the standards in one or more perceptual features such as pitch, duration, loudness, and location. The mismatch negativity can be elicited regardless of whether someone is paying attention to the sequence. During auditory sequences, a person can be reading or watching a silent subtitled movie, yet still show a clear mismatch negativity. Processing of sensory stimulus features is essential for humans in determining their responses and actions. If behaviorally relevant aspects of the environment are not correctly represented by the brain, then the organism's behavior cannot be appropriate. Without these representations, our ability to understand spoken language, for example, would be seriously impaired. A more objective, independent task capable of measuring auditory sensory memory that does not require focused attention on mismatch negativity tasks, which record changes in activation in the brain by use of electroencephalography. This records elements of auditory event-related potentials of brain activity elicited 150 to 200 milliseconds after a stimulus. This stimulus is an unattended, infrequent, oddball, or deviant stimulus presented among a sequence of standard stimuli, thereby comparing the deviant stimulus to a memory trace. Mismatch negativity is a component of the event-related potential to an odd stimulus in a sequence of stimuli. It arises from electrical activity in the brain that occurs after an infrequent change in a repetitive sequence, sometimes called an oddball sequence. For example, a rare deviant D stimulus can be interspersed among a series, an obsession, extremes omnipresent and encroaching upon flow within seconds, coalescing one moment and dissolving the next. In 1975, I decided upon the creation of a new vocal music, which employs an unmatrixed production of vocal sounds as the most immediate representation of thought. The primary concern is with the execution, sequentially, orderly, consequently, of different processes through much of the period since the 1930s. Most social psychologists have assumed that attitudes, and to a lesser extent stereotypes, operate in a conscious mode. This widespread assumption of conscious operation is most evident in the near universal practice of operationalizing attitudes and stereotypes with direct measures. The signature of implicit cognition is that traces of past experience affect account memory is the sensory memory that registers specific to auditory information. Once an auditory stimulus is heard, it is stored in memory so that it can be processed and understood. Unlike most visual memory, where a person can choose how long to view the stimulus and can reassess it repeatedly, auditory stimuli are usually transient and cannot be reassessed. The composer, consciously or unconsciously, ghostwrites the scenario. By the choice of intervals, we prepare for the existence of specific responses that will be perceived along with the acoustic tones. Oh, it's so good, this thing right here, when the pimp's in the crib, baby can't you see, white shirt, all the people at the party, too much horror business. The perceptual process is characterized by the temporal course of identification or recognition. Recognition of the stimulus requires an analysis and synthesis of the information available to the sensory input. In vision, the visual image during the eye fixation keeps the information available for the recognition process. In contrast, an auditory input continuously changes over time, and the information in the stimulus might not remain available. However, if the auditory information is held in a pre-perceptual auditory store, auditory perception might also involve a readout of the auditory image of the stimulus. Whereas the spatial pattern is an important dimension in visual stimuli, the sequential pattern is critical in audition. If the unit of auditory information persists in some pre-perceptual auditory storage system, what is the lifespan of the image? What is its vulnerability to stimuli that precede and follow the stimulus in time? The first assumption is that an auditory input produces a pre-perceptual auditory image that contains the information in the stimulus. The pre-perceptual image can be thought of as a perceptual unit of information. Therefore, the auditory image persists beyond the stimulus presentation and preserves its sequential information. The second assumption is that the recognition process entails a readout of the information in the pre-perceptual auditory image. This readout takes time and is referred to as the temporal course of perceptual processing. The time required for perceptual processing is directly related to the complexity of the identification task. If a short auditory stimulus produces a pre-perceptual auditory image, a second stimulus should interfere with this image and therefore interfere with perception. The duration of an auditory image is inversely related to the duration of the stimulus producing the image. If perceptual processing usually takes about 250 milliseconds, there would be no need for an image. People do not need to be philosophers to have a philosophy of life. Philosophy must become proletarian. This stinging formulation is the source of jeers and sneers or polite smirks by the philosophically educated. It is nevertheless one of the great truths of our time. Immense numbers of the educated, now compelled at last to face with sober senses the real conditions of life and their relations with their kind, fly off in all directions. Philosophies of anxiety, dizzy gyrations on the meaning of the word meaning, rediscovering original sin, diving into the depths of the human personality armed with torchlights made by Freud and Jung, accumulating statistics in the spirit of Mr. Gallup, and labeling it sociology. Though confused and deafened by the clamor above, it is the working class in every country more than any other class which faces very soberly the conditions of life as they are today, and knows that the future of human experience lies in the reorganization of these conditions, and not in dread, that psychology, or the ineradicable sense of sin. For the same reason, language is today more adequate for the expression of human needs than ever. This is not because language is more highly developed, but because human needs have become more simplified. With modern means of communication, there is not an urgent social problem which is beyond the rapid comprehension of the vast majority of mankind. Since the frequent standard S stimuli, for instance, SSSSSSSSD, SSSSSSD, SSSD, SSSS. In hearing, a deviant sound can differ from the standards in one or more perceptual features such as pitch, duration, loudness, or location. The mismatch negativity can be severe concentration, mental or sentient states for which vocal sound is used as the fundamental physical coordinate. A pre-choreographed navigation through specified mental and sentient states, underscored by a subtext of personal and other cinematographic writing, determines the sonic linguistic content clusters. In this way, I immediately establish a contextual basis for the compositional interconnection among sonic and linguistic elements, an interconnection, some performance, even though the influential earlier experience is not remembered in the usual sense, it is unavailable to self-report or introspection. A template for definitions of specific categories of implicit cognition is an implicit C is the introspectively unidentified or inaccurately identified trace of past experience that mediates R. In this case, C is the label for construct. Since the correct memories are heard once, they are stored for slightly longer periods of time than visual memories. Auditory stimuli are received by the ear one at a time before they can be processed and understood. It can be said that the echoic memory is conceptually like a holding tank, where a sound is unprocessed until the following sound is in the music that will sound in the listener's head and ears. I am doing this consciously, that is the difference. It is a matter of composing consciously for such effects and discovering distinct dimensions in acoustic and inter-aura spaces. I recognize the virtual sound world to be as real as tones played by instruments. Being mainly exposed to reproduced music in such crudely limited dimensions, it's somewhat of a miracle that mind continues to register, grasping unconsciously more subtle subliminal recognitions. With so many of the same sensitivities repeatedly being triggered, the same old neural massages, few real exercises or unexpected curious routes, I would think end cells responding in accordance would be dull, insensitive, outworn. Imagine the head stretch, once occasions for bypassing such limited responsive range, the new energy created and activating many previously dormant cells, learning now to respond, recognizing consciously, discovering caverns, islands, new curves in aliveness. Most of the music now circulating in the world, really all that most of us experience in recordings, has a dynamic range and sound intensity of barely 40 dB. He told me, you can reach me by railway. Love comes and it goes. Drive boy, dog boy, dreamy numb, angel boy. You. I get to feeling. Bird. We too. To remain with the presentation time of the stimulus exceeds its value. Processing the information in the stimulus seems to be sufficient to eliminate any afterimage of the stimulus presentation. The recognition masking results indicate that a short-term presentation leaves an auditory image which decays very rapidly. Further, this image can be processed for correct identification. A second new stimulus interferes with perceptual processing necessary for correct recognition. Two important questions. Pre-city state. It is the first time in history that this is possible. There is no mystery of what's happening to our society. So many find it easier to accept the total destruction of human society rather than see that a new society is all around them, a society based on cooperative labor. It is not merely because of greed, desire to retain privilege, original sin. It is because arising out of these material privileges and reinforcing them as a habit of mind, a way of viewing the world, a philosophy of life still so powerful because by means of it, man has conquered nature. It has governed the world for 400 years now, and now it has come to an end. The trained, educated elite no longer represent the liberation of mankind. The elite must suppress the new social community because this community is today ready to control, order, and reduce the human usefulness to mass accumulated wealth and knowledge. This antagonistic relationship between the administrative elite calculating administrative needs of others and people in the social community determining their own needs, this new world, our world, is a world elicited regardless of whether someone is paying attention to the sequence. During auditory sequences, a person can be reading or watching a silent subtitled movie that still show a clear mismatch negativity. Processing of sensory stimulus features is essential for humans in determining their responses and actions. If behaviorally relevant aspects of the environment are not correctly represented in the brain, then the organism's behavior is not appropriate. Without these representations, our ability to understand language, for example, would be seriously impaired. A more objective incremental task capable of measuring auditory sensory information that does not require focused attention are mismatch negativity tasks, which record changes in activation in the brain by use of electroencephalography. This records elements of auditory event-related potentials of brain activity elicited 150 to 200 milliseconds after a stimulus. This stimulus is an unattended, infrequent oddball, or deviant stimulus presented along a sequence of standard stimuli, thereby comparing the deviant stimulus to a memory trace. Mismatch negativity is a component of the event-related potential to an odd stimulus in a sequence of stimuli. It arises from electrical activity in the brain and occurs after an infrequent change in a repetitive sequence, sometimes called an oddball sequence. For example, a rare deviant D stimulus can be interspersed among a series of frequency under S stimuli. For instance, S S S S S S S S S S D S S S S S S D S S S, which at the outset is a part of the production of the individual materials themselves. This diffraction of mind is made infinite through a ceaseless navigation of the following variables: physical body effort and shape, changing light series which are choreographed, vocal timbre change, incremental change of room deliberation, manipulation of sonic spatial coordinates and trajectories through the use of 4 microphones sent to a triphonic sound system. The absolute accuracy, the absolute detail I am referring to requires a virtuosity, a versatility with the instrument that has not yet been approached. The question here is not one of a simplistic development of vocal virtuosity, rather it involves a redefinition of the most accurate sonic representation of thought, and our meaningful category of responses assumes to be influenced by that construct. The present analysis of implicit attitude extends both from automatic activation to explain how the attitude activated by one object can be misattributed to another. An implicit attitude can be thought of as an existing attitude projected onto a novel object. Using speed of yes responses to measure strength of existing associations between 2 words in a pair, they found that white subjects responded reliably faster to white positive word pairs than to black positive pairs. This difference did not emerge on judgment of negative traits. Automatic operation of stereotypes provides the basis for implicit stereotypes. After being subliminally exposed to a series of words, 80% heard, and then only 10 made meaningful. This particular sensory store is capable of storing large amounts of auditory information that is only retained for short periods of time, 3 to 4 seconds. This echoic sound resonates in the mind and is replayed for this brief amount of time shortly after being heard. Echoic memory is the capacity of the cartridge record. I think of this sound music environment surrounding us much of the time as the great mid-range mind. We have been learning. Or like living in a basement cell with constant artificial illumination and never being able to experience the many changing degrees of light that our eyes, minds, bodies enjoy recognizing. Consider what a deprived situation this is. Biologically endowed with a far more sophisticated range of sensitivities, we seldom have the opportunity to consciously experience these responsive energies, and really never with reproduced music. Up to now, there have been no media of sound reproduction with enough sensitivity to mirror the range and subtlety of our perceptions. Works are conceived and designed for "we are cursed," "happy sunny day," "kiss me hard before you go," "I want to be with you alone," "uptown girl," "whistle," "lovely," with your feet in the air and your head on the ground. While no one told me about her, you keep saying Rhiannon rings, cat, 800, alert, Mars, somewhere baby it's part of me, oh it's so good, this thing right here, when the pink's in the crib, baby can't you see, white shirt, all the people at this party, too much horror business, he told me, you can reach me by railway, love comes then it goes, drive boy, dog boy, dirty man, angel boy, you, I get to feeling, bird, we two are cursed, happy sunny day, kiss me hard before you go, I wanted to be with you alone, uptown girl, whistle, lovely, with your feet in the air and your head on the ground, when no one told me about her, you keep saying, Rhiannon rings, cat, 800, alert, Mars, somewhere baby, it's party day. Oh, it's so good, this thing right here, when the pimp's in the crib, baby, can't you see, white shirt, all the people at this party, too much horror business, he told me. You can reach me by railway, love comes, then it goes, drive boy, dog boy, dirty numb, angel boy, you, I get to feeling, bird, we two are cursed, happy sunny day, kiss me hard before you go, I wanted to be with you alone, uptown girl, whistle, lovely, with your feet in the air and your head on the ground, Well, no one told me about her. You keep saying random names, cat, 800, alert, Mars, some way baby, it's calling me. Oh, it's so good. This thing right here, when the pimp's in the crib. Baby, can't you see? White shirts, all the people at this party. Too much oil business. He told me, you can reach me by railway. Love comes, then it goes. Drive boy, dog boy, dirty no, angel boy. You, I get to feeling, bird. We two are first. Happy sunny day. Kiss me hard before you go. I wanted to be with you alone. Uptown girl, whistle, lovely. Your feet in the air and your hand on the ground. Well, no one told me about her. You keep saying we have brains, cats, 800, alerts, Mars. Someday, baby, it's part of me. Oh, it's so good. This thing right here, when the pimp's in the crib. Baby, can't you see? White shirt, all the people at this party. Too much oil business. He told me, you can reach me by the railway. Love comes and it goes. Drive boy, dog boy, dirty now, angel boy. You, I get to feeling, bird. We two are cursed. Happy sunny day. Kiss me hard before you go. I wanted to be with you alone. Uptown girl, whistle, lovely, with your feet in the air and your head on the ground. Well, no one told me about her. You kept saying, Rihanna Raymond's cat, 800, alert, Mars, some way baby, it's part of me. Oh, it's so good. This thing right here, when the pip's in the crib. Baby, can't you see? White shirts, all the people at this party. Too much oil business. He told me, you can reach me by railway. Love comes and it goes. Drive boy, dog boy, dirty mom, angel boy. You, I, raised by the recognition masking results needed to be answered. First, what is the nature of the image that remains after presentation of historic auditory stimulus? Second, how does the masking stimulus interfere with the perceptual processing of the image? A short auditory stimulus usually never encounters perceptual processing that outlasts the life of the stimulus. The auditory image remaining after the stimulus presentation contains the necessary information for perceptual processing. Since the after image does not differ from the image presented during the stimulus, is subject to mistakes which Descartes never knew or guessed at. As an actual liberating philosophy of life, rationalism is dead. The triumphs of Western civilization are common to all its members, and common to all of them are its disasters and its decline. The mud and blood are on their own hands and faces. A society based on workers' councils and every branch of the national activity is not a proletarian society. It is an entirely new dimension of human living, and its art will also assume new dimensions. The great gap between the actualities of life and the human need for order and completeness, which can only be satisfied in the abstractions of philosophy, art, and religion, will disappear. It will disappear because for the first time, men, all men will understand that their future will be shaped by themselves as in their own terms. The new frames of reference are, so far, beyond the comprehension of men trained in the bourgeois rationalist tradition. So it is at this stage in our society, art is either contemporary abortions or grasp the mirrors. Okay.